can't say for certain that everything is garbage. I don't even know if any of it is garbage. Probably a good chunk of it is garbage. Hey nerds, it is Michaela. I am looking super tired and crusty, which I am. It's like sort of the state I just exist in now. Happy first day of NaNoWriMo. You will obviously be seeing this like afterwards. I'm not posting this today. But happy first day of NaNoWriMo anyway. It is November 1st. I had a nice Halloween. I just like spent the day with my parents. But because it is the first day of NaNoWriMo, I am starting my NaNoWriMo project. I am going to link up in the corner my plan / intro video for NaNoWriMo, which kind of goes more into depth, A, about what NaNoWriMo is, in case you don't know, and then B, what I am hoping to accomplish during this process. But just to sort of summarize for you, I am not going to be writing a new novel or a new draft of a novel. During this month, I'm going to be actually like starting my revision process for a novel that I wrote during Nano 2018. I haven't really gone back to this project too much. I have almost done nothing in 2020 in particular. So I'm nervous, but I have been talking with a writing coach named Linda Barcy, whose info I will link below. I really like her. I think she's really smart and really great and really friendly and just so like passionate, and really inspires in me this desire to keep writing. I actually have a game plan for how to revise, which I've never had before. So that is what I am going to be starting today. So I am starting today an annotated love draft, which is a concept that Linda introduced me to. And that concept is going back through your draft and highlighting, underlining, starring, circling, whatever, the things that you love, the things that you are proud of, that make you like spark something in you and be like, oh, like, hey, I was on some shit, right? So that is what I'm going to be doing today with the first draft of my novel. I actually have like low-key I have like one full draft and then like 2 partial drafts. It's kind of complicated. I'll probably talk about it a little bit later. But I have printed out, let me see if I can show this with one hand. I have printed out, oh, well, you know, you get what you get. But I printed it out, my first draft, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. My goal is to spend probably about an hour a day doing this until it's done. I'm just going to be going through. I have a pen and a highlighter and some sticky notes for note-taking, and I'm just going to be reading through this. I did start reading this draft, I don't know, about just a couple days ago. I read like 2 pages and I wanted to claw my own eyes out because it was so bad, because I wrote it in 1 month and it was the first draft. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I'm not looking forward to this. I don't think I'm going to be highlighting much, but I don't know. I'm going to be trying and keeping an open mind. I'm going to try and forgive myself for bad writing and for bad ideas for like what comes out in the first month when you're just banging out a draft. So that's what I'm gonna start today, and I'll check back in at the end, I guess. So it has been an hour, my first hour of reading and sort of doing this annotated love draft practice for the first draft of my novel. It wasn't very fun. I got through 40 pages of it, taking notes. I didn't really highlight a lot because, truth be told, I don't like a lot of it. I'm not really happy with what I have. The barest bones of a story are there, but I just don't really like what I wrote or how I wrote it. I did manage to get some ideas for how I could sort of adapt concepts and rethink some things, so that was good. I've made a couple sticky notes, a couple of notes in the margins of like, do more of this and, you know, think about adding more of that. But yeah, it wasn't a super fun practice because it's very hard to read your writing even when it's good, and this was not good. So, but yeah, so tomorrow I'll do a little bit more, and I think I'll check back in when I'm sort of done annotating the entire first draft, and I'll let you know what I thought then. Okay, so hello. It is many days later. It is the 7th, the end of the first week of November. I actually finished going through my annotated love draft of my first draft of my novel like 2 days ago, and totally forgot to record this, so I'm recording it now. I'm about to start annotating my second draft, but I wanted to pop in first and just talk about my first draft and what that was like. It sucked. it sucked. By the way, it's not very early, but it's like, it's early for a Saturday, and I'm tired, so excuse everything that's happening here. Yeah, it sucked. It was not fun. I mean, it was fun, like the process of it. Like I enjoyed reading it because, I don't know, it was just like a weird thing to revisit this piece of text that I hadn't looked at in 2 years. But the actual doing of the annotated love draft, which is basically you go through and you mark up the things that you love, that sucked because I didn't mark up a lot of things. It was lots of blank pages, right? A lot of things didn't get marked up because I didn't love a lot of it. Not just the writing, but also a lot of the ideas. And that was hard. That was hard to go through and like, oh, this is like the base of your story. Like this is what you're starting out with. And you hate all of it. The thing that actually sucked more was the fact that it didn't spark a lot of new ideas, and I thought it was going to. There were definitely some. I have been like mentally picking apart my ending for days now. There's sort of one of two ways that the ending can go, and I don't know which one I like more. I think there are strengths to both and flaws to both, and I have to pick one, and I don't know what I'm going to do, which is fine. I don't think I have to pick that now. But that's sort of like the big thing that I'm mulling over is the ending. Sort of anything in the middle, not a ton of stuff sparked questions and exploration for me from this first draft. So the second draft that I'm about to start is actually a draft I do not remember writing. I apparently wrote this in April of 2019. I did not, it's longer than the first draft, but I only got about halfway through the story itself, which is good, because that means like everything that I do have has like just a ton more detail. I'm expecting the writing to be better because like there wasn't any kind of deadline. I don't remember doing this. I don't know why I started, and I don't know why I stopped, but I am excited to read this one. I do know that, just from like sort of peeking at it as I was printing it, I do know that the organization of this draft is a hell of a lot better. My first draft is a literal goddamn mess. Like I just can't, I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I've been trying to do an hour a day, and I have absolutely failed that. I didn't do any yesterday, and I didn't do any on election day or the day after because I just wasn't being able to concentrate on anything. But I'm gonna do probably like half an hour now, simply because I have somewhere to be, and then I plan on spending several hours on it tomorrow. I also have to edit my October wrap up, which I filmed in October and yet still have not edited and posted, so anyway, those are my thoughts on going through the annotated love draft the first time. I'm going to try and power through the second one as quickly as I can to get this up for you. Hello, it's me again, and I am now checking in after finishing my annotated love draft for the second draft of this novel. It is pretty late at night, like I'm literally about to go to bed, but I just wanted to record really quickly my thoughts on doing the annotated love draft for this second draft, which I just finished, I don't know, like an hour or so ago. This draft was about 100 pages, which is roughly about how long the first draft was, but it was not a complete draft. I can't remember what I said in my last clip, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But it was much more fleshed out. I would say that I got like roughly halfway through the story. I don't really know, but this was a much different experience doing this love draft for the second draft than it was the first one, because the first one was a fun experience, but it was also like kind of miserable because I was deeply upset with my writing. I hated it. It was not fun. Like the pacing was horrible. Like the writing was just bad. I didn't like a ton of the ideas. It just like wasn't fun. And I didn't highlight a lot of things. I will say that I didn't highlight / underline a ton in the second draft either. However, I did like a lot more of this writing, even though, like I think I said in the last clip, I have basically no memory of writing this draft. I can tell by reading it that I put a lot of thought into it, which how do I not remember something that I clearly spent like so much time on? I truly don't know, but I like the thoughts that I had. I like the things that I was getting into. There was a lot more character backstory for some like secondary characters that I really like, things that I'm going to keep and things that I already know what I'm going to change, but like I don't know if I would have come up with these changes if I hadn't done the first thing in this draft, right? Probably the most important thing in reading this second draft and going through it and picking up the things that I liked was that, unlike the first draft, it really sparked a lot of ideas for me and really had me thinking about things that I want to carry over into whatever next draft or iteration of this novel that I write next. I was thinking a lot more, asking myself a lot of questions, lots of what ifs, lots of in my brain sort of like plugging and playing different ideas as I was going. A lot more sort of sticky notes that I was writing and sticking in there for like, explore this, and try having this character be this age, and how does that change things, little things like that. I wasn't having those kinds of like sparks of inspiration while reading the first one, not really to the same degree that I had them reading this one, and that was very encouraging. But like I said, most of what was encouraging was that I just didn't hate this. I didn't hate this version. There were a lot of things I still didn't like. There were a lot of pages that went by that nothing got highlighted, nothing got underlined, but the amount of things I was highlighting were a lot more. They're even like huge chunks, like entire paragraphs where I'm like, I just really love this. Like, even if it doesn't make it into the final novel or whatever, like I still really like this. It's good writing, it's good ideas, it's whatever reason I liked it. Probably the thing I loved the most about this draft, so this novel takes place in a fictional small town in sort of like northern Massachusetts, and I really liked the details that I fit into this draft about what this town is like, not only just like what it looks like, but sort of how it functions, how the citizens of this town relate to each other. That wasn't like the focus of this draft, but I just think like the moments when I chose to sort of like stop and focus on that, I liked them and I thought they worked, and I definitely want that to be something that I focus on even more in the next draft. So I have one quasi draft left. It's not like a real draft. So basically for Nano 2019, I didn't get to finish it. So I only worked on it for, I think, like 15 days before I had to stop. What I did was I would just sort of write scenes out of order, just sort of like whatever I felt like writing that day is what I wrote. And I have them all saved as like different Word documents. They're not even like in one thing. They're just like sort of all over the place. So I'm going to print those out and put them in like a rough chronological order and do a love draft for those. I am not expecting a lot of things from that draft to be carried over into the next iteration. The main reason for this is because between Nano 2018 and Nano 2019, again, not counting this second draft that I just read that I super don't fucking remember, I made a lot of changes. I thought that a good second draft had to be like radically different than the first one. I don't know why I thought that, but I thought like, oh, I should just like change fucking everything. And a lot of the changes now, looking back, I'm like, these aren't terrible ideas. They're just not good ideas for this story. Obviously, I don't know. That might not be true for all of them, right? Like I haven't read this since November of 2019, like literally a year ago. So I can't say for certain that everything is garbage. I don't even know if any of it is garbage. Probably a good chunk of it is garbage. But I think a lot of the big ideas, like for example, I tried to insert a villain where there wasn't one before. I'm like, what? But I'm going to do that. I'm going to print that out tomorrow. I'm going to try to do the whole thing tomorrow because I didn't get to write a ton. So I'm going to try to do the whole thing tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to get around to it, but I would like to have this video up very soon because it's already been a week of Nano and I haven't put anything up. I didn't think I was going to take so long doing the first draft, so that's why. So yeah, I will check in for one last sort of thought on the annotated love draft process at the end of that, and I'll let you know what I think. Okay, so it is pretty late at night. Well, not that late. It's mid-evening, I guess, on the 11th. So I have finally finished doing an annotated love draft for all 3 drafts of my novel. One actual draft, first draft, very short as you can see, and then this is my second draft that is very slightly longer than the first draft, and then the final, I guess you can call it a draft, it's not really a draft at all, but more a collection of scenes / chapters. So I finished doing the annotated love draft for all 3. So what was that process like for me? At first I was not crazy on board for it because not only was I starting with my very first draft, which is terrible, very, 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 very bad. Not only did I not like it because the draft was that bad, but I also felt like I was really limiting myself because I wasn't really focusing on the things that I wanted to fix, which I think is a lot easier to do, is just to like sort of start ripping it to shreds and just picking apart the things you don't like. At least that's what's easier for me. I've always been, I think, pretty good at like reading my writing from like the past and being like, I want to change this and I want to change that and I want to change that. I have no real issues killing my darlings. You know, that's something that's always come pretty easily to me. But that's not the point. The point of the annotated love draft is to focus on the things you do like. And like I said, I didn't like that at first, but it actually did grow on me, and I get the point of it now, because after a while it became really apparent to me that like I am not just reviewing this for fun. I am reviewing these because I want to keep writing this. There is more left to do. So I need to focus on the future. By focusing on the things I like, I am focusing on the future. I am focusing on the things that I want to carry with me to the next draft or the next iteration of this story that I am writing. If I only focus on the things that I don't like, the things that didn't work, the pieces of writing that I didn't love, then I'm focusing on the past. I'm focusing on what I did wrong. But that's gone now. I did that already. I wrote that and it was shitty, and it's over now. I don't have to go back to that. I don't have to think about it anymore. Just remember like, hey, don't do this in the future, and keep going, right? I need to focus on the things that I liked, on the things that make me happy and that made me excited to keep reading. So obviously, you know, as I've said before, there wasn't a ton of those types of things in the first draft. There just weren't a lot of things that I liked reading because it wasn't good. I wrote it in a month and my writing was bad. But I just finished literally just a couple minutes ago this collection of scenes from a third draft, I guess you could call it, that I wrote during Nano 2019. And even though there's a lot of stuff in these scenes that won't be carried over, simply because there were a lot of ideas I was trying out that I just don't think fit with the ultimate story I'm trying to tell, there are huge chunks of writing in here, mostly set building, character building, describing the town that my story takes place in, a lot of things like that, that I was absolutely in love with. Like there were times where I'm like, holy shit, did I write this? And that felt really good. It felt really good to like read something and be like actually super proud of it, to be really proud of something that I wrote. Obviously, I think the story part is more important, particularly at this stage, than necessarily the finesse of the writing part. I can always punch up sentences later, but only if there are sentences to punch up, you know what I mean? But there were lots of pieces of writing in here that made me really proud and that made me really happy and that made me excited to keep going, right? After I finished doing this annotated love draft for the first draft, when there was very few things that I highlighted and very few things that stuck out to me as being worthwhile and like worthy of keeping, I did not want to keep going because I'm like, oh, this is just garbage. I have garbage and there's no point in continuing. But after the second draft and then the third draft, I do want to keep going because I did improve. There was absolute noticeable improvement between drafts 1 and 2 and absolute noticeable improvement between drafts 2 and 3. And so getting to see that laid out on the page literally as just like things that I highlighted, the little number of sentences that I highlighted or paragraphs that I like, you know, outlined as being like, I love all of this, right? Just having the sheer number of those things increase from draft to draft made me so excited to keep going. And so I can say that, yes, I recommend this practice. It took me a while to get into it also just because I didn't really necessarily know what I was supposed to be highlighting, but eventually I just started to like trust my gut and be like, did that sentence make you happy? Then highlight it. And like, that's really as far as it had to go. So that took me longer than I expected. I mean, I don't know why I thought it was gonna go fast, but I got through all of this in 11 days. So hopefully this video will be up very soon. The next step that I plan on taking, I think this is what I'm going to be doing next, is called the and then outline, which is something else that I have learned from Linda Barcy, the writing coach that I've been working with, which is a way of outlining that is kind of similar to outlining that I've done in the past, just a little bit different, but I will go into all of that in the next video. That's all I had to say on this. I was hoping to have this up sooner. We're already almost halfway through the month of NaNoWriMo and I've only posted one thing, but let me know in the comments below what you're working on, like how your nano project is going, if you have a word count, like where you are in that, or if there's like other benchmarks that you're using, whatever. Just let me know what you're up to. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now because I actually have to go into my office for the entire day tomorrow and I'm not looking forward to it. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.